Yo. What's up? Yeah, apparently I'm running out of options of what to do. And maybe I just have to get some things off my chest. Oh wow. Turn off the sound. Right, so there's quite a few things at the moment that I feel like are really heavy on me, like really weighing me down. And one of them is certainly, and I think that's the problem a lot of people I think go through when they're alone, right? Just this missing a partner, somebody to touch. Yeah, I can't really change that at the moment. What else is there? Right, of course there's the fear for anybody who knows how it feels like to be a content creator and to be self-employed. There's this fear that you will lose your drive, your motivation to create. And certainly there's also this fear to displease. Like for me at the moment, for instance, I have the feeling, you know, if this rocket should really like shoot, and people would like what I do, right? Because I can only do what I like. I cannot change that. And I've tried thinking about it. I've really tried thinking about it. You know, I've tried, you know, what do they want? And then I realized, well, they don't know what they want. So I know what I want. I want to do this, right? I want to speak about how I feel in a constructive way. And that helps me. You know, you could say this is my therapy. And somehow it keeps me going. I really had the feeling I don't want to do this right now, but as soon as I sit down and do this, I realize this is how I open up to myself and to others. And I have the feeling a lot of people, they go through kind of the same thing. You know how I know that? You know, you've got people that kind of want to live off-grid, right? And then you look at them, how they live off-grid, and then you realize, well, wasn't the point to live off-grid to get away from everything? But, sorry for that, but it's just, you know, sometimes just scratch it. But if you want to get away from everything, now comes the feeling of responsibility, because there's also people you leave behind, right? And then you feel kind of bad. Damn it, you know, I have the feeling I'm running away from society. So at least I want to give something back. Because in a way you also feel like, you know, it's kind of boring if you're the only one living off-grid. Because you're going to realize it's kind of an empty existence. And it's not like you were born in the Amazon rainforest and there was just nobody around for, I don't know, miles. It's not like you live in some kind of secluded tribe. No, you like we were born into society. And we feel connected to all of these people that still live here. You know, and I kind of live off-grid because I'm most of the time alone in my room. And I could say, well, you know, that gives me enough. But to be honest, it doesn't. You know, as much as I share with the world, If I don't show myself once in a while, I feel like I'm just fading away. I'm not part of whatever we are doing here. And I want to be a part of it. And I see the same thing in a lot of people. I just looked at a couple that started to live kind of off-grid. And then you see the woman, and the Instagram page was full with pictures. It's a beautiful woman. She's fit. She knows how to do yoga. I'm just gonna say it, nice breasts. That's just what I observe. And she takes pictures of herself. Mostly selfies. Super sexy, mostly selfies. And wow, you just go through that. I'm mostly alone in my room. So much for being in the cave. I'm mostly alone in my room. And you get kind of bored. Because I can only do so much with myself. And I'm not the kind of guy who likes to just sit around and meditate. So of course, right now, I'm secluding myself on purpose. Because maybe I want to show to myself that I can do it, that I can do this on my own, but then I realize I can't. I cannot do this on my own. And nobody wants to live off-grid. Nobody really wants to live off-grid. People want to connect with nature. But we were born, I often say this. I wasn't born into the forest. I like nature and I love nature, but I also realize nature is a bit like kind of a relationship. If I get too much of it, I feel like I'm fading. I don't know what this is. It's like a really strange thing. So I think this brings me to the topic of purpose. Like, what is your purpose in life? Because I feel like, yeah, I have a responsibility for myself. You can call that self-responsibility. But I also have a feeling that I have a responsibility for humanity as a whole. And some people, they just run away and then they live alone somewhere. But to me, I think it's not really, that doesn't really help anyone. And I really don't see that we're going to live like we used to live. At least not right now. Things certainly are going to change and people are going to live more in nature. I don't really know how that's supposed to work. Because if I see what we've created here, what are we going to do with this? Well, now it's there, we have to do something with it. Because we can't just all go and live in nature, so we have to bring nature into the cities. That's really how I think about it. I think we need to bring nature into the cities. So we have to have more green stuff. Because what I have realized is that everything works with transitions, and that means we are now at a point A, and maybe we want to get to point B. Yes, some of us, right? Some of us want to get to point B. For them, it's maybe Mars or something, but that to me is a complete fantasy. And maybe some of us want to get to, I want to live in nature again. Or, live like in a natural kind of commune that builds their own crops. Yeah, but the truth is, 99% of the population have no idea how to grow crops. That's how I feel like, at least in Germany, right? Nobody really knows how to grow crops, how to grow enough of them to make a living. I don't know these things. I don't know anything. Yeah, I'm alright that I can keep these plants alive, and I have no idea how they stay alive at all. I don't really give them much. Sometimes I give them a bit of love, I look at them, and I don't know how they're still growing. I don't really know these things. There's so much that I just don't know. And right now I also don't really have the space to learn it. Because I'm busy doing other things, right? I'm trying to reach out to people. Because everything that I tell you, to me, this is just common sense. I mean, that just comes to me. It's like, that's natural. The way to think, the way I think is just natural to me. All this information just starts pouring out of me. Yeah, if I explain to you where it comes from, you probably wouldn't believe it. Or maybe you would, right? I sometimes don't believe it. Because if I would think about myself as a human being with a brain, then how do you explain to me how I do all these things, right? I mean, how does it work? How does my mind work? It's like very complicated. I know I can fill my mind with certain things, and then whatever I want to produce changes. And that's a fact. I've tried that. My writing changes depending on what I concern myself with. And some of my books, I was watching Rick and Morty, and literally after I watched that, I went to write a chapter, and it felt like I was Rick writing it. And suddenly there was Rick in me. It's crazy. And it just happens, right? It's just like I put stuff into myself, and then I'm in a certain kind of mindset. And sometimes I was listening to Terence McKenna a lot, and I would start writing and had the feeling, this is Terence McKenna. He's writing through me. It's like he's still there somewhere. I'm not imitating this. It's just I go to the laptop, I start writing, and that's what comes out. That's what comes out. It's just crazy. Now what else do I got? Right? What else have I got? I had it with Alan Watts. Literally. I don't know if other people would see it that way, but I know I see it that way. Because I felt it. I really felt it. I felt his presence while I was writing. I didn't go to the screen and I thought, oh, I'm going to write like Alan Watts now. No. I listened to him, and then I felt like writing, and suddenly what came out is just like, this is Alan Watts. Yeah, and ever since, like, sometimes I say things or I think about things, and then suddenly there's Alan Watts again. It's like, where do you come from? Oh, you've been there all the time. Yeah, and sometimes I feel like there's still a Terence McKenna in me. And that really opens me up to this, we are all one, right? Sometimes I hear or feel a presence in myself, and I think, that's not me. Who is this? This isn't me. Where do you come from? Like, how did you find your way all the way here? I'm alone in my room. I'm kind of meditating, right? Because that's what I do. That's why I stay in my room. I keep an open space. I create a space, I create content, and I realize that sometimes people connect with me. I don't know who that is. Sometimes I have a fair feeling who that is. And then I'm having a conversation with them. But I don't know if they can hear me or not. Because this is basically telepathy. I don't know if people know that they're doing telepathy. What is possible is that they are somewhere in some kind of really weird place in themselves. Where it's like, oh my god, what did I do? It's like shame or something. He's never going to talk to me again. Oh, what am I going to do? And then I hear this voice suddenly, somewhere. It comes from somewhere, or it starts with a feeling generally, and then it builds up. And then I approach it and I say, what do you want from me? I'm busy. Go talk to somebody else. I don't have time right now. Or if you want to talk to me, then call me. And then have a conversation with me, like really have a conversation, and stop this nonsense talking into yourself like, oh. I don't really get that, right? So I'm just starting to open up to these things, and I can't really talk to somebody about it because they're going to say you're crazy. But I feel these things and understand these things, and sometimes it drives me insane to feel all these people in myself. Because you might think, yeah, spirituality is super cool, you know, you just start, you know, sometimes you take psychedelics and then you go and you cleanse yourself and you get rid of all these emotions. Yeah, but the emptier you become, the more you're going to realize that things are going to fill in again. Yeah, you're going to have people in your life. Yeah, you're going to find a woman or a man and you're going to be together. Yeah, and suddenly that woman is a part of your life. It's going to change you in ways that you don't know how. And sometimes I'm trying to resist this kind of change because it's too much. It's too much. It's pulling me in a certain direction. You know, there are choices, I'm not really making them. You know, I don't really make any choices anymore. The only choice that I make is I'm just gonna surrender. You know, I'm just gonna surrender. It's like a dog just laying on his back and say, you know, come on life, rub my belly. You know, all I have to do is wag my tail. So sometimes I'm really, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna really push the no-fap movement now, yeah? I'm gonna really push it. And I'm going to do this and that, you know? Yeah, and then I get to this point where I realize it doesn't work for me. I don't know what people are talking about, no-fap, do-fap, you know? Who cares, man? I mean, if you're ashamed of having masturbated and watched porn, then the best way to do it is to just keep doing it and just allow yourself to enjoy it. Because the most stupid thing is to keep wanting to watch porn or to keep wanting to masturbate and then hate yourself for it. You know, what's the point? You either do it and then you do it and you really think like, wow, that was a nice orgasm. You know, so that you really know that you have enough of it. You kind of have to fill yourself. It's like how I feel like I've watched enough porn. You know, now I do other things, right? I can look at a sexy image, you know. But, you know, I don't mope around afterwards. And I can literally hear these people, how they're torturing themselves. I'm a failure. But that has nothing to do with the fact that you're watching porn or that you're masturbating. Because I can tell you that for me, masturbation is sometimes a blessing. Because when I'm alone in my room, I don't know how to do this meditation and sit here in this lotus posture like that, you know, like super cool and oh yeah, I'm so relaxed. Oh, yeah, because it's not true. I don't live in a very relaxing environment. You know, there's like cars. And then every kind of 15 minutes, woo, 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 you hear the ambulance. Oh yeah. Nope. This is the state of fear. I mean, this is the state of fear. Just get that into your head. It's the state of fear, right? This is it. The state of fear, man. So, the best way to learn how to live in this state of fear and to make your life a little less complicated is to start working with fear and to see fear as a partner, as a sparring partner. If you're afraid of something, just go ahead and do it, man. You know, if you're afraid to masturbate, then work with that fear. Why are you afraid to masturbate? Because I'm afraid. I'm a failure. I'm disgusting. Nobody's gonna ever love me. Yeah. So sometimes I feel so low, like so low I don't even know how. You know, I don't know how that works. And then I masturbate and then I feel better. And then I masturbate and, you know, people say, yeah, no fap is gonna give you so much energy. And then you're gonna really work out. Yeah, I don't see that at the moment. You know, because if I don't masturbate, I have so much energy, I literally have no idea what to do with it. Because it's, you know, this energy that starts to build up, it's so heavy, I don't know how to do with it. And then my feeling says, yeah, push through, do this, do that, you know, move more. But it can't move more. Because it's heavy. It's really heavy. And sure, you know, I'm a bit of a pussy about it. You know, it's this kind of, I'd rather be a bit comfortable. Because I also don't know how to move. My feeling says dance it out of you, but how am I supposed to dance it out of you? It just doesn't work, really. I don't know. it doesn't feel like it's working. I don't know if it's working. I often have no idea if what I'm doing is working. All I can say is somehow it's working. Some people watch my videos, yeah, but it's more like, I don't know. I look at what I'm doing because I'm trying to also share these discoveries that I make. Because if I keep it to myself, it's too much. So I'm sharing it. I'm sharing all of it. This is what I find. Here, take it. This is what I find. Here, take it. I find this. Here, take it. Oh, I also found this. Here, take it. Take an image. Oh, you like images. Here, take an image. I'm even going to say something to that. I'm going to say to you what I felt when I made the image. And then you can look at it and say, wow, how does he do that? I feel the same way. Oh yeah, amazing. Yeah, and then I write something and you think, oh wow, how does he do that? He's expressing my feelings. Yeah, I'm doing that because, I just have to look at your Instagram page. And when I do that, I already know what your deal is. I already know everything, right? I can see it all laid out in front of me. And you can say it's a blessing, you can say it's a curse, I say it's a potential gift if you learn how to deal with it. So yeah, sure. Why do women or men take pictures, and then they pose? Why does a woman feel the need to constantly take pictures of herself, of her beautiful body? Well, because she wants to feel appreciated, and getting likes on Instagram makes her feel appreciated. She has the feeling also she wants to share something. But what do we need to share? I don't really know. Because there are certain things I don't want to share. Right? I don't know. But what I see is that a lot of women are made into objects. And if you as a woman feel like you always have to take pictures of your body, there's a reason why I like to keep my Instagram. This is all stuff I create. This is all stuff I create. And when I sit here, I don't just like, oh, show you my six-pack or something. What I'm doing is, I'm giving you something. This is me, right? This is me time. This is me sitting down and having a conversation with myself. But some people, I have the feeling, they say they're gonna live off-grid. And then they fail to really appreciate being in nature. Yeah, and then sure, you feel lonely, you feel anxious. Then work with that. Sure, what am I doing here? I could work with that, but I also have a plan, right? There's a reason why I produce content, because that's my job, right? So if you're a mother, why do you have to take pictures of you suckling your child? Why do you have to film your child? Why can't you just be creative instead of just taking sexy pictures? Because that shows me one thing, you're kind of desperate to be liked, and you're kind of shallow. You could, for example, yeah, but that's just clickbait, isn't it? You want to get love and you're willing to sell your body for that. That's prostitution. That's another form of porn. That's prostitution, my friend. If you do that, you sell your body to get more likes. You could also produce content that comes from the heart and then turn off comments and likes because you just say, I'm going to share that. It's your choice if you want to do something with that. But I don't need your likes and I don't need your comments. I don't need you to write in my comments how sexy I am. But some people need that. They want to hear it over and over again. Oh, tell me you love me. Tell it to yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself. I'm doing that. Sometimes I don't. And then I take a face full of dirt because, I've also been struggling. I'm really struggling to keep my shit together and to deal with all of this on my own. I don't get comments from people. Yeah, some people watch my stuff, alright, you know, I work with that. But why do we always have to use this? It's just a body, man. It's just a body. There's a book that somebody once gave to me for a while. I don't know if it was with Krishnamurti, nah, it was somebody else. It doesn't really matter, you know, some kind of holy person or a saint or something. And then the guy was saying, because they asked about women, and then he said, well, what is a woman? You know, it's also just meat and bones and flesh and feces. Because inside the woman, what is in there? Like, what's the self of a woman? What's the true nature of a woman? I don't know. What's my true nature? I don't know. But it's certainly not this body. It's not this thing. Because I can feel incredibly good, and then I look in the mirror and I think, oh yeah. And sometimes I feel incredibly terrible, and then I look in the mirror and I think, what a vicious asshole. So it's really my feeling that gives me feedback on how I see myself. You know, it's more like, you know, I look in the mirror and do I feel good or bad? You know, I don't really make a lot of adjustments. You know, I let the hair between my eyebrows, I let it grow. I don't plug anything. I trim my beard. I just don't want it to get out of hand. The rest I do nothing. You know, I just rinse myself. I have a comb when I shower. But the rest, I don't really do anything. I don't really do anything. I don't use soap. I don't use deo. I don't shave anything. I just let it all grow. Yeah, I bite off my fingernails because I'm very nervous and anxious for some reason. But, you know, I could take a picture like this. What's the point? You know, there's a way of taking pictures that are more like art. And that are, you know, where you can actually see this is art. This isn't desperation. This isn't, please love me. This is, I have something to give. And this is what art is about. You know, art isn't, wow, I'm sexy. Art is, here, I have something to give. You know, I found something in myself and I'd like to share it. Well, how can I find a picture of myself in myself? That just doesn't work. You know, I can find a picture of this in myself. Because that's what I see, right? That's what I see. This is what I see with my own eyes. I see this thermos bottle and I can take a picture of that and I can say, nice. So everything that I see on the outside, this I can use as art. I can use all of this as art. But not this. This is just a face. I can take a picture. And why do I do that? Because I'm insecure. I'm insecure. Am I still pretty? You know, has my nose fallen off? Am I still pretty? Have I got wrinkles? Do people love me? Do people still love me? Then you take a selfie and you post it. 500 likes. Oh, you're so sexy. Oh, thank you. Oh. So art is about either you bring something from the inside to the outside in a painting, a collage, you do pottery. This is bringing something from the inside to the outside. You give shape to something. This is how you work energy. You don't work energy on your face, man, because that's already there. And I don't, you know, my face is not for me to see. My face is for other people. You know, my body is what other people see, and it's an obstacle. Because other people, what they have to learn is to look at me in a different way. You know, I can see a woman, and I can get sucked into this, wow, yeah, nice breasts. And then I realize, she feels kind of insecure, right? I mean, if you have to take pictures with your nipples showing, kind of a body fetish. Sure, I have the same thing. I have a kind of a body fetish. Do I have to film myself without a shirt? Doing sport? I don't know. I have the feeling one reason why I'm doing this is because, yeah, sure, people want to see this. But I also simply, when I work out, I don't like to wear a shirt because I'm sweating more than I have to, and I have to wash this also. So I rather just wear as little as I can, because then also the shirt doesn't get in the way, and I really don't like it how warm I feel when I work out and I wear a shirt. So it's more a thing of comfort. I don't do that, and you can see it, I believe, in the way that I move, because people that move like, you know, I'm super sexy, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. People that move like, oh, I'm so sexy, because this is shallow. If you see yourself as this thing, it's shallow. You really only scratch the surface of who you are. And that's where you're stuck at. You're constantly trying to be seen by other people. Oh, this is me, ah, ah. Yeah, you see these girls that do yoga, kind of sexy yoga, right? It's like Russian girls. And then the camera is running, and then you can tell how insecure somebody is, how desperately they need this love from the outside. You know how you can tell this? Because they're constantly checking, you know? They get drawn into this camera, it's like, oh, you know, they can't take their eyes off it. It's like looking for them, it's like looking in the mirror. And most people these days, they're obsessed with mirrors. You know, they always check themselves, like, it's Narcissus. It's the story of Narcissus. You know, and he fell into his mirror and he died. Because he lost himself in it. And that's what people do. They lose themselves in their phone, constantly checking, in mirrors, in cameras. Most people, they should never film themselves. Because when you film yourself, what you have to do is, you have to stay focused on how you feel. You have to stay centered. Because if you get drawn into this thing, which is a very easy thing to happen, then it's a performance again. Then you're lying. Then you're trying to create an image that actually isn't really true. So the way I try to do it is, I just try to stick with myself. But somehow the camera still helps me to center myself for some reason, because I have the feeling, you know, I feel less alone in here. I feel less alone. But that's all I need, right? Plus, I'm just going insane if I have all these things happening in myself and I can't I can't just put it anywhere. Because that's the thing, you know, nobody really sees what I'm doing. You know, as soon as I start helping people, you know, that I live with, they start taking me for granted. And then they start really leeching off on me. You know, I already helped them. And then they come, oh, can you also do this? And I say, do it yourself, man. You want this to happen, then you have to put in the effort and make it happen. And right now, right, what I'm basically doing all the time is figuring out what to do next. I feel like I want to work out. I really want to work out. You know, I want to do this kind of animal movement, but I also realize there's certain limits of how much I can exercise. I don't know. A voice in my head says bullshit. Is that bullshit? Maybe. You know, maybe I'm just being lazy. Because every time it gets a little bit hard, I take the easy road. You know, every time it gets a little bit hard, I take a step back. But sometimes this is how I engage with fear, right? You keep moving towards it. You know, it's like this. A bit closer, oh wow, I back away again. A bit closer, I back away again. A bit closer, I back away again. And then one point, you know, I'm so close I can actually hug it, and then I say, now I got you. Because if you're working with fear, it's kind of a wiggly thing, right? It's really wiggly. And whatever your fear is, it doesn't really want to, you know, it doesn't really want to leave because you're holding on to it. You're actually holding on to it already. And what you really want to do You want to see what the fear is really about. Like, where does it come from? Why is it there? How does it really feel like? So you have to get to the bottom of this. So yeah, sure, I mean, life is already complicated enough. But is it really? I don't know. Well, for me it is. I mean, that's why I stay alone in my room, right? Because I just can't deal with all of this. I literally, in that sense, I'm very different from a lot of people that I know. I can't just go out there and do what everybody else does. It's impossible for me. If I do that, I will die. You know, I'm not just saying that because I've tried it. I really tried it. But if I do something that is not in line with my heart's mission, with what my heart wants, I really fall into some kind of depression. And I've tried it. You know, I've tried working for other people. And it works for a while. It works until I realize what I'm really working for. But it's like the story I told you about working at the cinema. I had the same thing. I was working in a cafe. And they said, you know, we're super hipster, we're super open. Yeah, everything's green and organic and local. That's how they baited me. You know, I went there, I was barefoot, had a beard, had long hair. And then I went there and I started working there as a chef. And then I realized it was all a lie. It wasn't all organic. They just got it from some like giant discounter chain. Some things were organic and local, and that was basically the milk and the eggs, and that's it. And the rest that they were using was just the cheapest shit you could get. Yeah, sure, the thing looked very hipster, but hipster is just a word. It's just a trend. Like for most people, spirituality is just a trend. You know, it's just a new hype. You know, something to jump on. Oh wow! Oh yeah, really cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I worked there for 2 weeks, and then, you know, they declared the pandemic, and then after they did that, I was sent home. But I still got paid for 3 months. And I was living with a woman at the time when she was pregnant. And at the same time, I had to write my thesis. And then she was kind of drifting away from me because, you know, I really had to write this thesis and I felt like she was drifting away from me. But I felt like it's important that I stick with her. It wasn't my child. And so, you know, I was prepared to throw away the degree. I said it, you know, one day I realized she wasn't really talking to me anymore. And, you know, I felt really, I don't know, I felt like I had to do this. I had to be there for her. Because the woman with the child, it was going to give birth. I just had the feeling, you know, I just have to do this. I didn't know how far I would go with her, you know, how long we would be together. I thought, okay, this is it now. You know, that's generally what I thought in relationships. I always thought this is it. And it never was it. But often you only realize that much later. Yeah, and I was writing my thesis and I was almost done. I had maybe 95% I had ready. And then I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't need this degree. You know, I don't really need this stupid degree. You know, I've been postponing finishing this shit for so long. And then I wrote an email to my supervisors and I said, you know, I will stop. I don't want it anymore. I will stop now because it's having such an impact on my life. You know, my relationship is about to end because of it. You know, I hate this. I don't want to do it anymore. And then they convinced me to at least hand it in. they released me to at least hand it in. They convinced me to at least hand it in, and I did that. And so I still got the degree, although I also had to kind of fight for it. But I did get the degree whether I wanted it or not. And yeah, I did spend time with that woman again. And made sure, I don't know, I was there during the birth, and 2 months later, and then the relationship ended. And then I was sent somewhere else. You know, life is kind of weird for me. I don't have this kind of life that other people have. Because I do hear voices that tell me things, like that one time, fast now for 7 days. Yeah, and then I fasted for 7 days. I managed 6. And during that time, the relationship with that woman and the baby ended. And then I had to learn to let go of that. It wasn't that, you know, I didn't want it to work. You know, I would have done it, but it just was impossible for me. My heart said no. Like as clear as day. You know, it said no when I realized, you know, I need to be with her now. And it said no at the point where I realized this is over. It's over. But sometimes I don't know, right? Because I've been thinking about fasting already the past couple of days. Weeks, probably. You know, every time I think I should fast, I think I should fast, I think I should fast. You know, I think I should stop masturbation, but then I realize I just don't manage. I don't manage to fast right now, it's too much. You know, I'm trying to keep my business going, because believe it or not, this is my job, this is kind of the business. I'm not doing this because I sat around and I thought, oh, this sounds nice, I'm gonna do that. No, I kind of feel like I got a mission. And it's not, you know, this sounds really crazy for people. But this is how it is, you know, I don't make these choices. The only choice I make, alright, I'm just gonna do it. I mean, I've told you this story. I didn't make this up. I asked into the world, into life, what's it gonna be for me? What do I want? Because I had no idea what I want. And then a voice came and said, write a book about fear. Exactly like this. And then I wrote that book. I just did it. I just wrote the damn book. But I realized to write the book, I had to make a lot of experiences. So for 1 year, I studied fear. Not by reading about it. I studied fear by going out there and dealing with it. By reflecting on it. By engaging with my fears. And that's how I learned to, right? You see now, wow, I'm so stiff. So I always get these kind of challenges, right? It's like, let go of sexual desire. Yeah, all right. So, you know, some people, they really try to not hear whatever this voice inside of them is trying to tell them, you know, they just try to keep that away from them. And I get it, because once you start listening to this, it's gonna drive you mad. I mean, seriously, this is truth we're talking about. This is not a child's game, right? So a woman that does sexy yoga, yeah, and wears incredibly tight pants that show her camel toe, yeah, that you can feel like you can almost crawl into her vagina. You know what she would have to do in order to start listening to what her, you know, to what truth is trying to tell her. It's like, you're selling yourself. You're trying to sell yourself as this super sexy woman, but you're just a little insecure girl that needs millions of people to like her. And then you see these guys, right? It's like, some guys, there's this one guy and he makes movies about the ocean, yeah? And then you can hear his voice. He says nothing that has value to anything. Oh, look at this, it's a snail. This is how he talks. And then he films stuff underwater, and then he has this really sexy girlfriend. And I say girlfriend on purpose, because no woman would present herself like this. And she wears the tightest swimming suits that you can think of. Yeah, and for some reason, you know, her ass is always in the center of the attention, or her cleavage. And that's the same thing for these off-grid people. So this is very shallow. And it starts to make me a little bit angry, because this is, you know, this is the kind of world I live in. Everybody's kind of trying to run away from themselves. So they post empty things, you know, just pictures of how their body looks like. And, you know, picture number 567. Still the same shit. You know, it's still your body. You've been born with it. You did nothing to really get it. You know, it's just, this is your body, and what are you doing with it? You know, showing me your tits. Every woman has breasts. That doesn't really set you apart. Yeah, but mine are especially sexy, says who? Who says that? Yeah, I mean, to get liked because you're sexy, I mean, this is gonna go away. You do realize that you're going to get older, and then what do you have left? You know, that's the point I'm trying to make. What do you have left? If you teach yourself how to do pottery, you can do this for the rest of your life, and it's gonna bring you joy. If you teach yourself how to make art, how to make music, this is what you can teach to your children. But if you keep running away from how you really feel, and you keep trying to get likes by posting sexy pictures, you know, like with your naked back or something, right? Or in a bikini. You know, women do that a lot, but also guys. Your life will remain empty. You have to start digging for truth in yourself. And then you have to face these things. And what I would suggest to you is delete it all. Delete it all. Every selfie that you've ever made, delete them all. All of them. If you make these disgusting yoga, you know, I'm a sexy guy, I'm a sexy woman, whatever, just delete it and start your life from scratch. Start learning how to feel what you feel, and then do something with that. I mean, you see sometimes really weird things online. I mean, this is how people are, right? They run around and they want people to hug them all the time, right? Oh, please hug me. I'm not gonna hug you. Hug yourself, you know, this is how I see it. So you see how I'm sitting here. I hold myself. And I share what I feel like, because you also have to see where I'm coming from. I mean, what do I do? What is really my job? You know, I observe things. But if you keep observing things, I mean, I watch a lot of videos, and then a lot of stuff comes up, and I have to have a way to deal with that. Because if I just watch these videos, then what am I going to do about it? I feel like I have to share it somehow. Because in a way, yeah, sure, I'm probably twittering into the world. Who's going to hear my call, right? You know, there are a few lessons to learn about how we deal with each other and with ourselves, and how empty an existence is that is based on likes from other people. But yeah, I'm also, in a way, I'm dependent on certain things. So what I don't really need is, you know, I don't really need likes. I don't need comments. I don't need people to comment on what I do, because I know what I'm doing. I don't need people to tell me what I'm doing. I don't even need them to tell me that it's good what I'm doing. And what I want is that people start engaging with themselves. But sometimes I'm not sure if my message is really coming across. And that's what really frustrates me. Because I try, you know, everything I do, I'm trying to express what I see, what I feel. And I think that's the message already, right? To stop You see, energy comes out. Wow. Now I feel less stuffy. Wow. You know, other people think I'm going to get sick, and I think this really had to leave. It's a perspective based on experiences and observation. Because I can actually feel what's coming out. Often it's like this. Sometimes I make a choice. You know, sometimes I make a choice. You know, I have this now because I haven't watched porn. Not porn like pornography. In a couple of days. And sometimes I stand here in front of my laptop and, you know, I feel like drawn into these pages, but by now I think, you know, I've watched this for so long. There's nothing to it anymore. And then I make a choice, I say I'm going to drink a coffee, and then I come back and I stand here and I start working on an image. And then suddenly I feel like whoosh! And I really see how this is connected, why I was sneezing now, what came out, what kind of energy. You know, I work on these things, sometimes for years. Making choices, observation, and then at one point I make a choice. It's like right now, right? I'm observing myself. How do I feel? I drink coffee instead of working out. You know, I could stop drinking coffee, and every time I start getting heavy, what would I do then? You know, I would work out. Yeah, I would do my push-ups. I would do my planks. Maybe I would do breath holds. Yeah, I would massage this area down here, train that muscle, the pelvic floor muscles, so that I can channel the energy better into my body. Yeah, I would do all of these things. You know, I would clean my room, I would wash my laundry, yeah, and everything would be super easy. Yeah, and at the same time I would also do work. Yeah, I would write articles on Medium, I would finish my book, but the book still needs time, right? And then, you know, yeah, and then I also would make music and create artwork, and I would do all of this at the same time and be super happy all the time. But I realize it's too much. So right now my focus is to just stay away from porn. And when I then, you know, when the pressure gets too much, before I relapse into watching porn, because I first want to get that out of my life. And when I feel secure about this, yeah, then I can make the next step. Then I can start and stop drinking coffee and start working out every day or something, right? But first I also have to get rid of this stuff, you know? These memories of me as the guy who watched porn, right? I have to work on that. It's not enough to just say I'm gonna stop, because this stuff is still inside of you and you have to work it out. And so how do I work it out? With art, with my music, with writing poems, with writing stories. You know, sometimes I don't know what to do, and then I do other things. And sometimes I realize, you know, I want to do something, but I feel too heavy, it doesn't work. You know, right now I can't do crochet because it doesn't satisfy me. So I do something else that satisfies me, because I feel like, if I feel like this, you know, okay, I'd rather take a step back because I'm trying to push through a barrier that's simply too hard. I can't. At the moment, it's not working, I think, you know. And now this voice comes again, bullshit. Yeah, maybe it is working. And maybe I'm just transitioning through it. And maybe I should just be a little less hard on myself. Maybe, right? So far it's worked. Because sometimes I'm trying to get to a place and I have the feeling it just ain't working. You know, it's like that place where you know, maybe you love someone, you want to have a relationship, but your partner, you know, isn't really shipping in anything. So you're trying to hold up the relationship on your own and your partner just does nothing. Yeah, you reach out maybe, You try to ask them, do you want to do this? And your partner just keeps running away from you. So what do? There's no point to keep chasing them around because they're running away from you. And that means as long as they do that, it's gonna be really tedious stuff. And that's the position I feel like I'm in at the moment. So what do? I just say, fuck you. You know, I love you, but when you keep running away from me, you're not gonna get shit from me anymore. Until you start to take responsibility for what you want. And then of course you can say, well, maybe she doesn't want it if you're like this. And then I say, yeah, I can't help that. Because I cannot keep chasing women all my life. I think there are better things to do than chasing women. And if a woman is too afraid to contact me for whatever reason, doesn't matter, then apparently to her I'm not worth it. Then I say, go find someone else then. You know, I know what kind of person I am. I see what I create, right? Nobody can take that away from me anymore. I see what I can give. I can give a lot. But most people don't even want it. And when you start giving, they come for more. Can I have a second, please? No, you can't have a second. Because I don't like you that much. Yeah? That's what you have to say. Stay away, man. Do your own homework. I did my own homework. So you have to do that as well. I can't make that any easier for you, other than telling you whatever I did worked. But what I did, well, you have to find that for yourself, because I can't just narrow it down. I did everything I felt like, right? I felt like drinking coffee, I drank that. I felt like masturbating, I masturbated. I felt like going for hikes, I went for a hike. Now I feel like staying inside, so I stay inside. I feel like being silent most of the time, I'm silent. Everything I do is based on a feeling. And right now my feeling says stay put in this room and work on it. Whatever it is, just work it. Channel it into your work. And I'm doing that. Yeah, so if you don't want to connect with how you feel, then what is there to hear, right? There's nothing I can teach you. Because what I'm doing is everything exactly based on a feeling. I have a feeling and I'm doing it, right? I work my feelings into whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I work my feelings into a hat when I crochet. I work my feelings into a meal when I eat. Yeah, and if my meals are toxic, or if my hat is really ugly and I hate it, well, then I just created something with hate. So I'm trying to create more things with love. So, my job is to take the emotion, bring them to my heart, and then channel it. Instead of channeling it from down here directly into it, like, it's like, wow! And for that you need a lot of patience and practice, yeah? So that you learn how to, wow! Yeah? Yeah, so I can channel my anger into your face in the form of a fist. Bam! This is what MMA fighters do, right? They're like, I'm angry, I'm afraid, and before you can hit me, I'm gonna hit you. And the only thing that I can do is fight. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm like a shadow fighter. But I don't have I don't want to fight with people, I think, right? I like to do my shadow work. I don't like to engage that much. I want to engage with my woman. I don't want to engage with all kinds of people. I just think, leave me alone. Do your own homework, right? Go engage with your woman, or go engage with your husband, because that's what people should do. So I don't see why a lot of people should engage with me, because I don't have an interest in engaging with them, right? I don't have an interest to show you exactly what to do or how to do it. You have to learn that by yourself now. And that's the only thing I can really teach you, and the only way I can teach that is by speaking about how I feel about certain things. So you learn how I open up to feeling in a certain way, right? I feel anger, I open up to it. Oh wow, wow, how can you feel so angry? It's like, wow, yeah. And that's how I do it. But I also have to make sure, because this is more like, it's not very physical stuff. So I also want to make sure that my body is in good shape. And I've done my physical workout, and now I feel like I have to do emotional stuff. Because when you do stretching, for instance, you know, you get into yoga, you start stretching. Sometimes really heavy emotions come up. And suddenly you have anger, like down here, there's a lot of fear, a lot of anger in your lower back. You know, if you start working that out through exercise and through stretching, that means this starts to come loose, which means it's going to first probably get into your stomach. You know, it's going to work its way up. You have to bring it to the heart, actively bring it to the heart. So sometimes when it's too heavy, you know, I eat something. If it's too heavy, I eat something. Sometimes I remember, you know, I'm still transitioning to breathe more into my stomach. Oh, this is really heavy work. Really heavy work. And I know I have to do it. I have to do the breathing. I have to do the breathing. I'd rather drink a coffee then. Wow! Yeah, or I'd rather drink, you know, easy way out. You know, easy way out. Yeah, I'd rather drink a coffee. This is literally how it is at the moment. Yeah, when it's really heavy and I just feel like it doesn't work, or I eat pancakes. But I don't just eat pancakes, because right now what I did was I ate a lot of, I put a lot of cinnamon in there also. So my diet is very specific on how I feel like, right? If I feel like there's something in here that needs to come out and I just don't, you know, it's too much, I can't deal with it. So I just trust my body to deal with it. So I eat the right kind of food. So I make like a kind of a thick pancake. And then I take honey. And then I put quite a bit of cinnamon, maybe a teaspoon, maybe 2. And I mix that. And then I mix a banana in. And then I put that on top. Because if I feel really, you know, I'm working, you know, what a depression is a really low point. And sometimes I just don't manage to get out of it on my own. So I need help. But there's nobody to help me. So I help myself, you know, that's the point of the last video. So I help myself. So what do? I do whatever works. Yeah, so if getting up in the morning feels really heavy and I can't get myself to do breath work, no, I don't pretend that I enjoy doing breath work. You know, that's just, I don't know. I don't pretend that I like it if I don't. So if the thought of drinking a coffee puts a smile on my face, then today I'd rather do that. But then I make a coffee that's like, all right, you know, that's gonna really push me. So I make an espresso with a 2-cup Bialetti thing. That's what I like. And then I take cardamom. Fresh? Yeah, fresh. Not the powder at least. And then I grind it. And then I make my oat milk and I heat that and then I make the coffee. Take that, I come here, I drink it, and then I start working. You know, some people, they just eat because they want to sleep. Some people, they just eat because they're bored. You know, I eat because I realize if I don't eat, I don't manage to push through. And that's the whole point of what I'm doing. You know, it's always, I push through. Okay, next level, next level, next level. Because I'm trying to free myself of a lot of things. But at the moment, freeing myself of food just doesn't work. So I use what I have available. And right now I have certain things available and I use them. You know, to a degree, you know, if I realize, okay, now my, you know, too much coffee is like, it's gonna destroy your body. So if you start feeling too toxic because you drink too much coffee, so you have to put in also your own work. So I also, in between, I do like 25 push-ups. And I drink a coffee, and then I do push-ups, and then I work. This is all part of the game. Because if I do, right, I have, fear is somewhere here also, right? A lot of weight that we shoulder, while we tense up, is because the weight comes when we do like this. Oh wow, it's like responsibility. I don't want to take it. I don't want to take responsibility. Oh my god. There's also a lot of shame and all that kind of stuff. It's like weighs you down. So imagine you start working on that as an energy healer or somebody who knows the ways of the force. You realize that there are certain areas in the body where certain emotional things are trapped. So down here is your root chakra. And if your root chakra is blocked, then you're going to have a lot of back pain. So you need to work on that. You just strengthen it. And when you strengthen it, it's starting to get better. But what I realize, and I don't know, maybe other people don't have that, but with me, as soon as I start working out more, I also feel much more, many more things, all these emotions that suddenly, start to, like a tornado in myself. It's like a whirlwind of emotion. As soon as I start working out, as soon as I start anything, there's stuff coming up, all this stuff. Why do I think I make so much art? Do you think I just do that because it's fun? No, I do that because if I don't do it, I go insane. I'm telling you, I am very different from most people. Very different. I don't know how other people do it. How do people do it that they're just happy all the time? They just, all the time, they go and work out. But the thing is, if you go, some people, they go to the gym 5 times a week because now they build up muscles and now they're afraid to lose them. So they're eating all this food because they're afraid to be skinny. It's just so stupid. Because I'm rather a bit skinny, right? I mean, it's not like I'm super skinny, but I'm rather a bit skinny. Because then I have less weight to pull. Some people, they want to be really strong because they're afraid. It's an expression of fear. You think like you need a lot of padding to keep yourself safe. Instead, you could just engage more with your fear. I want to be light, more lightful. So I work with whatever weighs me down. And sometimes it's too much, I just don't manage. So I just let it happen, and then I eat something, and then I come here, I sleep a little. And at one point I start feeling really restless, and then I get up and do something. Whatever, you do some push-ups, I don't know. And then I do some artwork. And then I realize, okay, my back is aching, so that's why I rather sit now. Yeah, you can sit like this. But there are certain limits, is what I feel like. There are certain limits of how much of my emotions I can get rid of, or I can transform. Because there's no end to it. This just keeps coming. Just keeps coming. Because it's energy. Energy wants to flow. And wherever the energy is coming from, I cannot tell you. Because I have a specific job here in this life. And that means certain energies will find their way to me. And that means, I'm producing content for people that are lost. That means that people who are lost, or confused, or sad, or really angry, are going to tap into my energy. And that's something that is really basic. They're going to tap into my energy. And they're going to connect with me on an emotional level. By watching my content, by spending time with it. And that means, as an energy worker, I feel these things, and then I have to deal with them. So I have to learn to distance myself from the way I feel, because I realize most of the stuff I'm feeling is other people. And right now, this is my challenge, to learn how to just keep channeling it into my art. Because that's what I'm doing. And so you have to understand that if you make porn, or post a lot of pictures of your tits out, or just like sexy pictures, you know what kind of people you're going to attract? Creepy people. And these people, you know what they're going to do. They're going to look at your content and they're going to masturbate over it. Do you want that? Do you want people who sit at home, who are really unhappy, to masturbate over your images? Like, don't you... You put your pictures of your child on Instagram. You know, people are going to look at your child and think, what an ugly asshole. This is what people are like these days. You're going to have pedophiles looking at your child. Do you know how irresponsible that is? This stuff is going to cling to your child's energy field. And I can just tell you that because I know it is so. I know it is so. It's a portal. It's a direct connection. And if angry people are looking at your child, they're going to send it a lot of hate. And it's your ignorance that's going to do that. We are here to learn. And when you start to become a parent, then you should know these things. Because you are here then to protect your child from stuff like this. And if you're ignorant about these things, well then learn. You have to learn these things. And there are people who talk about it. So if you don't understand how energy works, how energy flows, what the law of attraction is, well, you put a picture of your child or of your boobies out there, that's the law of attraction. What are you going to attract? Desperate people. Do you want to deal with these energies in your system? I'm telling you, delete those pictures and start making things that actually bring value to this community. A mother and her child should be kept safe. You know, breastfeeding your child should be something private. It's very intimate, just like having sex. And it's incredible how ignorant people are about these things. No wonder that you keep feeling so terrible. Because I already feel terrible when I see these things. When I see these things, how ignorant people are. And then I think, okay, how can I inform people about this? That there are consequences. Yeah, you know, people today, they don't want to take things serious. They just say, oh yeah, you know, not a big deal if Google has my data. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's time that we really start educating ourselves. And I've sat a lot with emotions. I've sat a lot with these things. I've learned a lot by going inward and seeing what we are doing in this society where we say, yeah, it's all just material. No. You know what these people do, like Disney? It's hypnosis. You can even call that voodoo. That is hypnosis. They're hypnotizing people. This is what Marvel does. It's hypnosis. You're being sucked into the reality of the film. And it's an illusion. But you sit there and you have the feeling it's real. I call that a form of magic. You know, people who know these things, they say it's sorcery. It's hypnosis. How else do you explain that? That somebody can sit for 2 hours in a chair and forget everything around him. How else would you call that? I call that hypnosis. I call that slavery. I call that sorcery. You know, that is also part of spirituality. You start seeing these things. It's a scary place out there. You know, there's more than meets the eye. Yeah? There's a certain depth to it. And some of it, yeah, it's kind of scary. So you learn to deal with that and see it as a challenge. I think one of the books that I like the most is called Letters to the Government. I think half of it you can find in my podcast as an audiobook. But I also put a lot of artwork in there. Which is why, to me, the price of 40 euros is justified, especially thinking that, you know, the book isn't just a novel. This is a teaching. This is a teaching from me to you. And that's why my books have a certain price. You know, if you're not prepared to invest into these things, then just leave it, because you won't take it serious. You know, if you really want to learn from me, you know, I worked hard. You know, I give a lot of stuff for free. But these things, some things you have to say, this is my value, right? Put a lot of work into these books. You know, maybe there's still some spelling mistakes, but that's all right for me, because I know in what kind of a place I was when I was writing them. Yeah. So in that book, Sexual Depression, I really went into why we do these kind of things. And there's a lot of, you know, this is what I see as spirituality. It's the light and the darkness. And together, but right now we have a lot of dark shit. So we need to start bringing more light into it, which means we have to, you know, what is light? It's consciousness. You know, light is consciousness. And if I live my life consciously, then I will start seeing darkness more. But if you just live in darkness, you just live in a haze. You don't know what's going on. And then you can be cheated and lied to. You know, things can whisper to you. And you say, who's speaking? Yeah, it's a question nobody, you know, that's what people don't even allow themselves to ask, because they're so afraid. They just think it's all them. You know, they have all these thoughts. Eat meat, eat more meat. Buy with Amazon. Yeah. It's the law of attraction, my friend. Anyway, there is ways out of this mess.